You've been told that in order to lose weight, you need to cut out carbohydrates, skip meals, and do more cardio. And that if you aren't seeing results, well, you just don't have enough discipline. And here's the thing, you believed it. You've even tried all of these things, and they may have worked in the short term, but all of them led to you gaining the weight back and starting from square one. But today, I'm here to tell you that it's not your fault, because most of what the fitness industry has told you about weight loss is wrong. And not just a little wrong, but scientifically proven to be wrong. And in this video, what I want to do is go through the 12 biggest weight loss myths one by one and dismantle every single one of them with actual peer-reviewed science. So systematic reviews, meta-analyses, and human randomized controlled trials, not just cherry-picked animal studies. That way you can leave here with a clearer picture of exactly what's been holding you back and what you should be doing instead. Myth number 1, calorie deficits don't work. This is a newer take that's been getting a lot of traction online lately. I want to address it head on because it is genuinely dangerous misinformation. The very first law of thermodynamics has not been repealed. To lose weight, you must expend more energy than you consume. That is just physics. Humans have not evolved past it. People can disagree with it, but that's like disagreeing with gravity. Regardless of how you feel towards it, it will have an impact on you. Now, are there biological factors that make it harder for certain individuals to get into a calorie deficit and sustain it? Absolutely. Hormones, genetics, medical conditions, stress, and sleep all play a role in how difficult it is, but they do not change the fundamental equation. They just change how hard it is to execute. So the problem isn't that calorie deficits don't work. The problem is that people struggle to accurately track their calorie intake and output, which prevents them from ever actually getting into a deficit. And this was proven by a landmark study published in the New England Journal of Medicine that found individuals who claimed they could not lose weight while eating just 1,200 calories per day were on average underreporting their actual calorie intake by 47%, with a range of 17 to 80%. That same group was also overreporting their physical activity by an average of 51%. So again, physics has not magically changed in the last decade. People just think they're in a deficit, but they aren't. The real problem is a knowledge and education gap about how to accurately measure caloric balance. Myth number 2, BMI is outdated. You've probably heard that BMI, body mass index, is outdated, inaccurate, and shouldn't be used at all anymore. And it's true that it's not a perfect metric. Someone with exceptional muscle mass and very low body fat could be classified as overweight or even obese by their BMI, so it's a limitation. But for the vast majority of people, those who are not athletes or regularly resistance training, who don't have above average muscle mass and below average body fat percentage, BMI is still a reasonably accurate general indicator of whether or not they have weight to lose. Again, I'm the first to admit that it's not perfect, but it is a generally good starting point for an honest conversation about health and your target weight. If you want a more precise picture, then body fat percentage, waist to hip ratio, and DEXA scans are all superior individual metrics. But don't use the imperfections of BMI as an excuse to dismiss the data that it's giving you. Unless you fall into those exclusionary categories of bodybuilder, athlete, or somebody with above average muscle mass combined with below average body fat percentage, if BMI says you're overweight or obese, there's a strong chance that you probably are. Myth number 3, you have a slow metabolism. This is one of the most common things I hear from people who are struggling to lose weight. It's a comforting explanation because it abdicates responsibility. But in almost every case, it's not accurate. For years, we have been told that our metabolism slows down as we age, especially after 30. But a landmark study published in 2021 completely shattered that narrative. Researchers analyzed the metabolisms of over 6,600 people ranging from 8 days old to 95 years old. They found that when you control for body size and muscle mass, your metabolism is remarkably stable from age 20 all the way to 60. It doesn't meaningfully decline until after age 60, and even then, the decline is only about 0.7% per year. So if you're under 60 years old, your metabolism is almost certainly not the reason you're struggling to lose weight. And if you are over 60, while yes, it is technically slowing down, it's doing so at a very small rate. Even for you, the real culprits are almost always your eating habits, aka your calories in, and your activity levels, aka your calories out. Myth 4, age is why you can't lose weight. Now, this is not to say that weight loss isn't harder with age, but it's not for the reason that people think. A lot of people think that purely because they are older, that's why they can't lose weight, or that's why it's harder. It actually has nothing to do at all with your age as a number. The personal experience that people have with weight loss becoming harder as they get older has far more to do with the fact that as you get older, you tend to have multiplying responsibilities. You start a business, you have higher stress careers, you have children, you have grandchildren, and your time gets more and more scarce. Therefore, you start to skip workouts, you get less sleep, you compromise nutritionally. And so the correlation you feel between being older and finding it harder to lose weight is not because of your age itself, it's because of the lifestyle changes that have occurred for you as your time has gotten more scarce. But there's actually data to show that older people can have an easier time losing weight. Studies have found that when older adults commit to structured lifestyle interventions, they often have better adherence and outcomes than younger adults. So age alone is not why you can't lose weight. It's because as you have gotten older, you have more responsibilities and less time, and therefore, you have to be extremely particular with the strategies you deploy to lose weight and make sure that they actually have efficacy and are time efficient. Speaking of which, if you're a business owner who wants me to work with you one-on-one to help you lose the next 30 to 100 pounds using a completely personalized nutrition plan and workout program with unlimited customization and the same support and accountability system that I have used to help 1,200 clients lose a combined 10,000 pounds across my career, there's a link in the description below to apply. Check it out. Myth 5, you have to cut out carbs to lose weight. Carbs have been made the villain in so many diet stories, but they usually aren't the enemy. Should you be mindful of refined carbohydrates like candy, sugary drinks, and processed snacks? Yes, but not because they're digested quickly or spike your blood sugar. It's because they tend to be far less satiating, which makes it easy to overconsume them calorically and harder to stay in a deficit. The reason low-carb diets are often effective for initial weight loss is the glycogen dump that comes with cutting carbohydrates. Your glycogen stores hold water, and when you deplete them, that water weight comes off fast. And if low carb continues to work longer term, it's typically because eliminating an entire food group leads to eating fewer calories overall, which makes it easier to sustain a deficit. But the removal of carbs themselves is not the mechanism. The calorie deficit it contributes to is. A 12-month randomized controlled trial found no significant difference in weight loss between a healthy low-fat diet and a healthy low-carbohydrate diet. So, carbs are not the reason you aren't losing weight. The lack of a calorie deficit is. Myth number 6, you have to fast or skip meals to lose weight. Fasting can be a useful tool for some people. By restricting your eating window, you naturally reduce the number of opportunities you have to consume calories. So for some people, that structure works really well. But the research actually shows that when total calorie intake is equated, fasting produces no significant difference in weight loss compared to traditional continuous calorie restriction. So fasting or skipping meals is a strategy, not a requirement. I've worked with plenty of clients who were fasting for years with zero sustained weight loss success, either because they were still eating too many calories within their feeding window, or because they were too aggressive with the restriction, lost muscle mass, and damaged their metabolic health, which led to them gaining back all of, if not more weight than they originally lost. So if fasting works for your lifestyle and helps you stay in a deficit, you can use it. But if skipping breakfast makes you ravenously hungry and prone to overeating later in the day, it's probably not the right tool for you. Remember, the only thing that guarantees weight loss is a calorie deficit. Myth number 7, you need to do more cardio to lose weight. When most people decide they want to lose weight, their first instinct is to just do more cardio. And it makes logical sense because cardio burns a significant amount of calories in the moment, more so than resistance training does. You feel it, you sweat, it seems productive, and in the short term, you may even experience an initial rapid loss of weight due to the increased spike in calorie output. But making cardio the centerpiece of your weight loss strategy has drawbacks. First, it's easy to overdo it. Excessive cardio without adequate protein intake and resistance training could lead to muscle loss. And according to research, muscle loss is arguably the single worst thing that can happen to your long-term weight loss success, because the more muscle mass you lose during a weight loss transformation, the more weight you are likely to regain afterward. Second, if you're carrying significant excess weight, high impact cardio like running can be hard on your joints, and the heavier you are, the worse it is. This is why I recommend prioritizing resistance training in every weight loss transformation. Yes, an hour of cardio burns more calories in the moment than an hour of weightlifting, but that resistance training is generally lower impact and retains or even builds the metabolic engine, muscle mass, that burns more calories forever. There is a compounding effect. So cardio is great for your cardiovascular health and longevity. I'm not telling you not to do it. Please don't misunderstand me. But what I am saying is that it probably should not be your main weight loss workout strategy and be viewed more as a supplement to your resistance training base for the other benefits it provides outside of sheer caloric output. Myth number 8, it's all about willpower. This is the idea that if you're not losing weight, you just don't want it badly enough and you lack discipline. Now, don't get me wrong. Discipline and willpower are absolutely a part of the equation, because even if you do have a perfect plan, at the end of the day, you still have to execute it consistently. However, in most cases, this idea of it being all about willpower or discipline is an oversimplification. Some of the most successful clients I've ever had, people who are the most disciplined and driven individuals I have ever met, as evidenced by their accomplishments in other areas of life, were completely stuck when it came to their health and had been on a roller coaster for years. Not because they lacked discipline, but because they had a bad plan or a massive knowledge gap. As I mentioned earlier, research shows that the average person underestimates their calorie intake by just under 50% and overestimates their physical activity by over 50%. If you have never been taught how to properly measure your intake and your output, you don't know what you don't know. You can have all the willpower and discipline in the world and still be spinning your wheels. Sustainable weight loss isn't just about white knuckling your way through a restrictive diet or an extreme workout plan. It's about installing the right system, one that you can stick to for the long haul. It's about having a plan that's actually built around your life. And it's about closing the knowledge gap with the right education and support. So yes, discipline does absolutely matter, but discipline and willpower applied to a bad plan usually gets you nowhere. Whereas the right plan, built specifically for your unique life and goals that you can apply consistently, is what will actually move the needle and generate sustainable results for you long term. And that good plan usually also requires less discipline than the bad one. Myth number 9, all calories are equal. This one might seem like it contradicts what I said in myth 1, but it doesn't. Both things can be true simultaneously. When it comes to the number on the scale, a calorie is a calorie. If you're in a deficit, you will lose weight, regardless of where those calories come from. But when it comes to how your body responds hormonally, how full you feel, and how sustainable your diet actually is, not all calories are created equal. Consider 500 calories from grilled chicken and vegetables versus 500 calories from a bag of chips. Both are 500 calories and will have the same direct impact on your calorie balance or weight loss math, but the chicken and vegetables are packed with protein and fiber, and they're going to keep you full for hours. The chips will spike your blood sugar, crash it back down, and leave you craving more within a half hour. So if that 500 calorie bag of chips leads you to eat another 500 calories because you're still hungry, you've now potentially blown your entire calorie deficit. The food choice made it exponentially harder to stick to the plan. This is why I recommend that 80% or more of your calories come from lean proteins, fish, low-fat dairy, fruits, vegetables, and other whole unprocessed foods. Not because you can never eat processed food, but because these foods are more satiating and make staying in a deficit far less painful. Myth number 10, you have to eliminate your favorite foods. This is the all or nothing mindset that destroys more weight loss attempts than almost anything else. The belief that you have to be 100% clean 100% of the time. It's just not true. The research actually shows that this rigid approach is less effective than a flexible one. A randomized control trial compared a rigid clean eating diet to a flexible diet that allowed 10 to 20% of total daily calories to come from enjoyable foods. Both groups were in the same calorie deficit, and they found that both groups lost similar amounts of weight during the 10-week study. But the flexible dieting group was significantly more successful at maintaining their weight loss afterward. They also reported a better relationship with food and less anxiety around eating. So the researchers concluded that the rigid group, who were completely deprived of the foods they enjoyed, likely experienced more covert dietary noncompliance and were far more susceptible to post-diet binges once the restrictions were lifted. So if you're eating 80% clean, that remaining 10 to 20% of your daily calories can be your budget for the foods that you actually enjoy. As long as it fits within your calorie target and doesn't trigger a binge, it has a place in a sustainable, balanced diet. Myth 11, weight loss is a linear process. People expect to see the number on the scale drop every single day. When it doesn't, they panic and they think the plan isn't working. Weight loss is not a linear process. You will not have a new all-time low weigh-in every single day. Your weight graph will have peaks, valleys, and plateaus, and that is normal and expected. Research tells us that body weight can fluctuate by 2 to 4 pounds or more in a single day due to changes in water retention, glycogen stores, sodium intake, and hormonal shifts, especially in women. In my experience, Fat loss tends to happen in 3 distinct stages. The first is a rapid initial drop, mostly from water weight. The second is a significant slowdown or even a full plateau, which is where most people, unfortunately, give up. The third phase is either a rebound from quitting in stage 2 or more weight loss from staying the course when things got hard in stage 2 and riding out that slower, more sustainable rate of loss at 1 to 2 pounds per week. I have a full video on my channel breaking down this exact process in detail, which I'll link in the description below. But the key here is to not let the daily fluctuations affect you. Weigh yourself daily, track the trend over weeks and months, and trust the process. Myth number 12, all weight loss is equal. The myth is that losing weight is losing weight, and the number on the scale is all that matters. While this is significant, and I think it's probably the first thing that you should look at when you are losing weight, it is important for you to understand that there is more to this transformation than just the number on the scale. So yes, it is important, and I do think you should prioritize actually seeing the number on the scale drop. But you do also have to do that with the understanding that it isn't the entire story. When most people say they want to lose weight, what they actually want to lose is fat. There's a massive difference between losing fat and just losing weight. If you go on a crash diet with extreme calorie restriction and no resistance training at all, you will lose weight, but a significant portion of that will probably be muscle. And as I've already explained, losing muscle is arguably the single worst thing you can do for your long-term metabolic health. The more lean muscle mass that you lose during a weight loss transformation, the more likely you are to gain the weight back afterward, and the more total weight you tend to regain. So the quality of your weight loss matters infinitely more than merely the speed of it. The goal should always be to maximize fat loss while preserving as much muscle mass as possible. Here's how I typically do it with my clients. We set a reasonable calorie deficit of 500 to 1,000 calories per day. We pair that with a high protein diet of 0.8 to 1.0 grams of protein per pound of their goal body weight, and we combine that with a resistance training program of 2 to 4 sessions per week. They weigh themselves daily, track their calorie intake, track their protein intake, apply proper intensity in the gym, and focus on progressive overload. The result is significant weight loss, but specifically from fat mass, making it more sustainable long-term and ensuring you don't leave the process skinny fat with a wrecked metabolism and high potential for rebound weight. So there you have it, 12 of the most common weight loss myths dismantled by science. There are no magic pills or shortcuts that work long-term. Sustainable fat loss comes down to a handful of non-negotiable principles: a moderate calorie deficit, a high protein diet built around whole foods, consistent resistance training, and the patience to trust a process that isn't always linear. That's the system, and it works every single time if applied correctly. Now, if you're a business owner who is ready to finally lose the next 30 to 100 pounds and actually keep it off, I want to invite you to apply for one-on-one coaching with me. I'll build you a completely personalized nutrition plan and workout program tailored to your life. You'll get the same support and accountability system I've used to help over 1,200 of my own clients lose a combined 10,000 plus pounds. Click the link in the description below to apply, and if at the end of our time working together, you aren't absolutely satisfied with your results, I'll refund you in full. Thanks for watching. If you found this valuable, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more, and share this with someone who needs to hear it. I'll see you in the next video.